Boom. Look at that. We're mostly on time today. What is up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Chart Request Live. CRL, Spencer Israel, joined by the one and only Steve Straza, head of research at All Star Charts. Mr. Straza, how are we doing today?
Doing all right. How are you?
Doing all right? Having a good Thursday?
Yeah, you know,
Yeah. Okay.
pretty
I
pretty
know.
standard. So
Standard. All right. Standard's good. Standard's good. Okay. If it's your first time watching the show, it's a very simple concept. We have a couple of stocks that we want to discuss, but mostly the show belongs to you, right? So if you have a ticker, drop it in the chat. We will do our best to cover as many of them as we can in the short time that we have. Mr. Straza, I wanted to start with Walt Disney. That was the first stock on my radar today. They reported earnings last night. Disney Plus numbers not great for the second quarter in a row. Disney Plus actually lost subscribers. Most of that was due to their Disney Plus Hotstar that they have in India, because I guess they lost the cricket rights in India, so a lot of people don't need it anymore. But anyway, 2 months in a row now of negative subscriber growth for Disney Plus. The stock is down today. I have been long and strong Disney. I don't even know what my cost basis is. I've bought it so many damn times. I've totally lost track, but I'm underwater to say the least. Mr. Straza, what say you about this stock?
You know, it seems like for Disney, unfortunately, they are caught up in this world of streaming, right? Which was a business that everyone wanted to be in not long ago, and now seems like a business that nobody wants to be in. So they're all struggling, right, outside of Netflix. So that being the case, I'm looking here. I have the chart marked up for earnings. That's these little E tags on the bottom here by the Y-axis. So let's just look, going back to the first report of last year. I mean, look, earnings come out, the stock peaks. Go to the second quarter of last year. Not a great report. Again, you have a short-term peak just following earnings. Q3 of last year, earnings, you know, they did actually see a positive reaction on this earnings report, up 5%, but the stock peaked a few days thereafter. Down here, you had a peak just before earnings and a big blast lower on what looks like, obviously, another earnings reaction, down 13%. This was fall of last year. Then you have a short-term peak in February following earnings and a nasty candle right here, okay? And then this quarter's no different. Short-term peak, stock's falling off a cliff again on the heels of earnings. So this is a tough one.
Yep.
You know, not for me. I would say, listen, it's a big company. It's, you know, how big are they now? 100 and something billion?
Yeah.
Market cap here, 170. I mean, these guys are monsters, but I think they're still figuring it out. They got Bobby Iger back in the driver's seat. People I know were turning positive, right? Was that your thesis? Iger's back. I'm buying the stock.
My thesis was they own all the content and content is king. That was my thesis like 3 years ago. So again, I've averaged down so many times. I don't even want to talk about it, but
let's count quick before we move on. I mean, you know, over the short term, and like I said, I don't think I need to say much more about owning this stock around earnings. No. But even when you zoom out, you have these prior cycle highs here. My apologies, the chart is already a little bit marked up, but you got to go all the way back to 2015. You know, we got shelf of highs here from 2017. We're trapped beneath all of that overhead supply now. So
sure.
So you do have a logical level here, some lows from, you know, up to 10 years ago here, and then some year to date in 2022 lows. You got the COVID lows right here. So I would say, you know, watch this 90 level. If we're below there, you got to be prepared for this one to make another leg down, because, you know, this is a top here, right? This would be the resolution of a range, and you want to be looking for further downside. You can measure this out, say something like 120.90, so that's 30 points. That would project this lower to about 60. So I wouldn't want to see Disney break this 90 level.
All right, we'll do one more from my list, one from your list, and then we'll go to the chat. The second one from my list is Robinhood. Also earnings last night. The bigger story with them was not so much what the numbers were, it's that they are aiming to launch 24-hour stock trading. They're, of course, not the first retail broker to do this. TD Ameritrade has had this for a number of years on a few different tickers there. But Robinhood's going after the overnight markets here. Stock is, I think, up today. That's not obviously, you know, doesn't mean a whole lot because the chart is what it is. But do you have any thoughts here? It looks like it's been bunching up.
Yeah. So I read the press release. I mean, this is a nothing burger.
Okay.
Did you check it out? Did you see how many vehicles will be available?
Well, yeah. It's the same as TD Ameritrade. You can't just launch overnight trading in 30,000 tickers, right? You have to support the markets for those tickers, right? So
there's no market, there's no liquidity there. They're not going to bring it with their customers ever, and they have 43 tickers available to trade. So
right.
Go have at it. I'm sure they'll have the SPYs and the Qs and the diamonds and your Apple and your Microsoft, but side of that, people aren't going to be trading hot stocks at 9 o'clock at night.
I just want to say, whoever is on the other side of those trades at 1 a.m, it's free money for them. Whatever.
Yeah. It's going to be the institutions.
Right. Obviously, yeah.
They're going to take that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, here's the thing. Just like a lot of these good growth stocks, listen, I like Robinhood. I'm long Robinhood. Been long for a while now. But this reversal pattern needs to complete. At which point I'll probably get more long. But we would draw this one like this. So, downtrend, right? Coming off the peak from 2021 or 2021. Sideways trend. Got the 200-day flattening out here. Let's see it, start to curl higher. We need price to get out of this range, though. So I would draw support right around here. This, 1150 level, because you got peaks from last August, last September, last October. We overshot it here in November, right? Tried to take this level out right here. That failed, back in the range, and now we're just kind of chopping around here in a pretty sloppy range. So I don't get too excited about this one because the trend is not higher until we resolve higher from this reversal pattern. I think that happens around 1150.
All right, 1150. We'll wait and see. And then you, I know, are watching copper today. I don't know which ticker you want to talk about, but what's the deal with copper? I know Mr. Cully has been pounding the table on this one for a little while.
Looks weak, dude. Does not look good. So be the worst move for copper. And let's see. It's the 1 day rate of change here. So
oh wow.
One of the worst days of the year. It did have a big down day back in March, but this is a pretty bad day here. About to get oversold. This is the daily RSI 14 here. 30 is that oversold level. We're about a point away. And, I was looking at a cool chart earlier. Let's do a fun little exercise. We use a lot of intermarket analysis, as you know, right? So we have little clues that we could look to in other asset classes or other instruments that could kind of tip us off to maybe the future direction of copper. For copper, that is South Africa. You would be shocked when I show you just how similar these two charts look. So let's do it. So we're looking at the South Africa iShares ETF here in black. Boom, there it is.
Okay.
And we're looking at copper futures here in blue.
Whoa.
And I could zoom out, and these things will continue to be right on top of one another. Right?
That's, I assume, because that's where all the mines are. We're just taking a shot in the dark.
Copper, industrial metals, that's their thing, right?
Yeah.
Similar to maybe you do something like that, like Canada for energy or something like that. Saudi Arabia for oil. But seriously, let's look at just how strong it is, right? So shout out to our homies at TradingView. Finally hooked me up with a premium account. EZA, copper. Look at the correlation coefficient here. Throw it down the lower pane.
What does that say? 0.78?
Yeah. So pinned up there, 0.78. And as you can see, this is the zero line here where my cursor is. Generally always positive, always pretty, extremely positive, right? So that's a tight correlation. When I look at copper futures, I say, okay, how's South Africa doing? And actually today I heard about South Africa before I even looked at copper because South Africa's down 4% on the day, hitting its lowest level since November. Lo and behold, you look at a chart of copper here, spread them out a little bit. Copper's also trading now at its lowest level since last November. So this is not good, not exactly risk on, right? You want to see the pro-cyclical commodities like copper trend well here, not seeing that. And then also you want to see this offensive regions around the world, like South Africa, these commodity countries trend well. Not seeing that. Maybe it's a rate story. We'll have to keep monitoring the data.
I did not know about this correlation, and now I'm excited to watch it going forward. So thank you for that. All right, let's go to the chat here. Got a few tickers in there already. H Chan is asking about ZTS. That's
Zoetis.
Zoetis. Is that biotech?
It kind of, but it's really like animal health.
Animal. Oh, okay.
Biggest animal healthcare name. Which, let me just say, I'll put on my fundamental hat. I love this stock. I love this trend. I think this is one of those secular trends you just want to get behind. For me, this is a long-term hold. Do own it in my IRA.
Oh, wow.
Look, it's a beautiful base. I mean, they're the leader. They're the industry leader in pet medicine. They do a lot of cool stuff. So we got a base here. Let's look at the 200-day. I want to see it flat and curling higher. Just about there. I would draw this one like this. And we're just kind of flagging at this level where, we had a short-term bottom here back in March of last year. Then this became resistance in the summer of last year. When we look at these bases, and we talk about the ones we want to be buying versus the ones that we do not, a lot of times it's going to come down to these August highs. See them right here? So many charts are going to look like this. We were talking about DraftKings earlier this week. August highs. It's always the August highs, right? When you find yourself saying the same thing over and over and over again, there's probably a good reason for it. So Zoetis just taking out those August highs. I love these candles on earnings. I love this little shake here, Spencer. Let's zoom in, right? So this was earnings day. Look at this giant green candle. We call this like a Maribozu. Oh, maybe not quite because we didn't close towards the top. But if you have a huge green candle that basically has no wicks on either end, so it opened on the lows, closed on the highs, call those a Maribozu candle. And they're about as bullish as it gets. This one's huge candle. Next day we followed through, and now we've just been kind of like high and tight here in this flag. This is not something I do very often, but let's have some fun. Thursday. I'm just like flagging here right now, right? Let's zoom in here. So you see like the huge earnings move. We got this like shakeout, like the shakeout morning of earnings. Looks like the reaction was negative at first. Boom, shake them out. Let's go higher. And then we have a high and tight flag now, right here.
I see it with the lines.
Like that. So
yeah,
187, and that's the short-term breakout. But really, when you zoom out on this chart, like I said, you can use your risk level as those August highs. Call that 180, 250.
All right, nice. Look at us getting patterny on you today. Thanks for the ticker, H-Chan. Kevin Who is asking about DR Horton. We've talked about the home builder stocks. Been on, obviously they've been ripping. And Kevin Who is asking specifically for a price target if you can give one, even as it nears an all-time high.
So Izzy, can I do this?
Let's find out. Oh,
does that work?
That works.
This is how we learn here live. Right? We're figuring it out, right? Testing done. So this is Optima. We got the absolute price trend on top. This is your standard price chart. Here's DH Horton breaking out of a multi-year base, taking out those 2021 highs, right around like 108, really 110. Then when you look at the relative trend, looks rather similar. This is DR Horton versus the S&P 500 breaking out of a base. I love it when the relative trend leads the absolute trend like this, because it's great. It's a great leading indicator, right? This kind of price action, new highs on a relative basis, stock making new highs versus the broader market, supports a breakout on absolute terms. It's not like you would want to make the bet that these two charts resolve in opposite directions, right? So to see this one down here in the lower pane, the relative trend leading, making that breakout, I think it's coming any day now for DR Horton. And, you couldn't find a stronger group than home builders right now. Look at this, right at the top of the range. We had the earnings gap up. Now we're coiling here in this little pennant-y formation. You basically just want to buy the resolution of this coil. An easy one, 110. You want to target? I'll give you a Fibonacci, 140, 150. There's your first extension.
And just to put a fundamental hat on for a second, nobody wants to sell their homes. Everybody with a mortgage is locked into a mortgage with a low rate. They don't want to get a higher rate.
Yep.
if there's going to be new houses, there's got to be new houses. And who's going to build the new houses? People like D.R. Horton. All right. Let's keep going here. Elijah is asking about Ferrari.
Race.
Is this an all-time high?
Yeah.
Or it is? Okay.
Yeah, so let's zoom out and just show what a monster this stock has been ever since it came public. I remember when this guy came public. And you know what I thought to myself? Why would I buy an automobile stock? They've never worked before. I'm just totally uninterested. It happens sometimes. So these guys obviously doing something better than GM, Ford, and the rest. This chart looks more like Tesla than the traditional automakers, doesn't it? So new all-time highs here. This one's, the way I would draw this is pretty simple. This is a secular leader too. Let me just show you what I mean by that. We're going to look at Ferrari relative to the S&P 500. I don't know how big of a stock it is, but it's.
I don't think it's that big. I can look for it if you like.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think it's that big.
72. Not bad. So here it is versus the broader market. New all-time highs on a relative basis. We chart it versus their peers. In the automaker space. No, is that the electric one? Yeah, that's the electric one. So it's CARZ. Yeah, I think so. So there it is versus, automobiles, auto ETF, pressing towards highs. The way you want to calculate an upside target for this one is simple. Got a nice base here. We are just now breaking out above the fall of 2021 highs. You draw that fib right there. 278 would be our risk level to the downside. First target would be about 346.50.
Looking good. All right. I skipped Joe's question. Joe had asked about an appropriate entry level in Texas Instruments, TXN.
Good one.
I have not looked at this chart in a while.
Yep. So it's a mess, man. Here's the problem with this. There's your base. This one didn't experience much downside compared to other tech stocks. Look at that, 30%.
Yeah.
Max drawdown on this thing. You got stocks that are down 90%.
Hey, I'll take 30.
Yeah. Impressive, right? But we don't buy stocks because they're good at going sideways or not going down much. We need this thing to break out. This was shaping up like a nice base, right? I would be telling you to buy it if it was up here, right? And resolving higher from the upper bounds here around 185.80. Instead, price is retreating back to the lower bounds here. We do have, some price memory right here at current levels around 160. But if that goes, what's next is this little double bottom down here. So that'd be, another 15 points of downside. So I don't like this at all. It's really messy. This is not a long until this base completes, and this base doesn't complete until we're back above those August highs, 186.
All right, let's stick with the semi space here. De La Riva is asking for AMD and for your thoughts on that.
I love this one. So I'm so glad you asked. Did I drop this one in the charts? I was talking to the guys about this one. I just marked this up this morning, so this is fresh. First of all, let's do this. Before we look at the short-term chart, why do I really like AMD? Show you on the monthly chart.
Oh, going back like 10 years?
Going back like 30 years. Look at this base, this .com bubble base here, right? So we had some resistance right up here in like the 47.50 range. After this was COVID here. Right here. You could barely even see it on the AMD chart. COVID did not affect this stock at all. It's amazing. So anyway, we got this base breakout above the .com bubble highs. Stock went on to pretty much triple from there. And now we're just, we've been correcting, just like tech stocks do. So that's the context, right, for what I'm about to talk about. This is massive multi-decade breakout. The long-term trend is now higher for the stock. Let's zoom in. Let's look at a daily chart. Like I said, I was marking this one up this morning. I like to anchor VWAPs from, what is that VWAP doing there? Hold on. I think that was in the wrong place. I like to anchor VWAPs from the all-time highs, or at least the cycle highs. Right, so that's what this blue line is here in AMD. Comes in, just below where the current price is, just beneath kind of the breakout level of this base. I drew a really, really fat resistance zone here in the 103 to 97 range because I wanted to catch these pivot lows from 2021 and early 22. I wanted to catch these August highs and then the year-to-date highs. So not the cleanest base, but nonetheless still a very nice base. You see the 200-day curling up, starting to curl higher here. I don't wanted RSI on my chart. Where did it go?
I thought I just saw it. No?
Still learning to use my new premium account. So I want to see this get overbought here, but momentum is in a bullish regime. And look, we've been overbought 1, 2, 3, 4 times just since last summer. So the trend is now higher
Nice.
in this name. If we take out these pivot highs, I think it happens coming days or weeks. This one,
Very nice.
Look, I'm thinking a new uptrend is underway for AMD. Like this one a whole lot more than TXN. And let's just give me a chance to just look at the tech index, right? Don't buy tech stocks that are not resolving higher from bases right now. Don't buy tech stocks that are not above these August highs. So this is XLK. And there are plenty of examples out there. There's a growing list of names out there that are resolving from these bases, are above these August highs. Make that green. Right, so buy the ones that have already completed, right? So XLK, we're just about there. 150, 150, that base will have been completed. But we have new examples every day. One that's on my mind is Google, right? Resolving higher from this base now. You have all the big boys like Apple resolving higher, Microsoft, right? Back above those August highs. So buy the bases that have already completed. Shopify. A lot of examples. Don't buy the sideways charts. This one's about to go. Also online resale, C Limited, I think East Asia. Look at that base. Anyway, get to the chat. Sorry.
Wow. I hadn't noticed that Shopify chart really it held on to its earnings gains. All right. This is I appreciate this question from David Lampley very much. I think it's the first time we've been asked about this ticker on this show, and that is SPY. We need more ETFs on this show, people. If there's an ETF you have on your mind, ask us. I love ETFs. We don't need to talk about your stocks. We can talk ETFs too. They're the greatest. And it's chart request live. ETFs have charts too. So let's look at SPY here.
Right. So we have the downtrend that began in January of 2022. Lower highs, lower lows, lower highs, lower lows. And then we have a bit of a sideways trend here. I have a downtrend line drawn from the all-time highs, as well as a VWAP anchored from the all-time highs. Price has taken out the trend line, and it's also now above the anchored VWAP, showing you that the average buyer is now back in the green, finally. But we still have this shelf here, right? We have these year-to-date highs, and that's really what I think the level is here for SPY. 420, 419. Got to get above there. Then you'll get confirmation at the August highs here, about 430. But right now, like, we're coiling here, right? Not much downside. So we had this little reaction off of the March lows after the early banking volatility. Pretty much got back to where we were earlier in the year. And now we're just high and tight here, right? We're pretty much correcting through time, not price. That's always constructive. So I think this base does eventually resolve higher for the simple fact that I continue to see more and more individual stocks beneath the surface resolve higher from patterns that look strikingly similar to this. So for me, that level is really 419 for SPY. And then I'm looking for confirmation, another 10 points higher at those August highs.
It was those pesky August highs again that you mentioned.
Spencer, I think you eventually get it. Like, if the question is because the viewer wants to trade SPY, then I would say go trade an individual name that's already resolved higher, or just be patient on this one. Because, it could go sideways for another couple of weeks. There could be a little bit more downside. Let the base complete first, then get involved on the long side.
Yep. All right. When I say we need more ETFs, and Joey M drops a leverage ETF in the chat. LABU. This is the bullish biotech, the 3 times biotech bull ETF from Direction. I'm not sure. I guess Straza, I guess you can say what you think, but I'm not sure how valuable technicals are on a leveraged ETF because they are meant to be used as daily trading. vehicles, but I don't know. Do you have thoughts?
I don't do it.
Yeah.
I don't. I'm sure there is some information in these things, but just the mechanics of
Yep.
these vehicles makes them so that if I want to know what biotechs are doing, I would never look at a leveraged ETF, right?
Yep.
It should give me a decent idea of what biotechs are doing, at least on a daily basis. But for information, I would always just go to IBB, right? That's going to give me a clean look at how biotech stocks are faring. Then for me personally, I don't trade these things. I use options when I want some juice or some leverage. I hate the way these vehicles are run. I think they're terrible. So that's just kind of my take on it. Happy to do technical analysis, but I wouldn't touch this with a 10-foot pole. So stuck in the box here. Literally in the middle of nowhere. You got the flat 200 day. Do have a little shelf here in the middle of the range, around 8 and change. But really, what I would tell you, this is the bull, right? Okay. So
yeah, this is the bull.
If your Labu trade is going to work, maybe just follow XBI, right? Get long LABU or something on an eventual breakout of this reversal pattern in XBI, right? I would use the technicals on a different vehicle. And then if you're using LABU because you want that leverage, right, and the added juice, fine. But I don't know if you want to even make your decision there from that price action. I would look to one of the traditional ETFs for that.
And again, the word daily is in the name of the ETF. It's the direction daily S&P biotech bull. So day trading, not to be held for more than a couple of days or maybe even a week at the longest. If you just zoom out, the chart speaks for itself. Okay. Sam Gatlin, you definitely asked about HubSpot last week with JC. Straza, do you want to give your 2 cents on again, it's been ripping. So
yeah, this was a tough one. I got an old fib on here. It's not really helping us much, so I'm going to get rid of it. Let's clean this guy up quick.
But again, this goes back to your comment about buying tech stocks in uptrends.
Yeah. So you do have the base breakout here. I haven't looked at this name in a while, so the first thing I want to do is see how is it trending versus the broader market. Okay, this is the relative trend. I like this, right? Looks like we went from down to sideways to now up, right? On a relative basis. This looks to be an outperformer. Okay, check that box. Let's go back to the absolute trend. Bring in some momentum here. Definitely in a bullish regime. Look at this, Spencer. Got to go back to January of 2022, the last time this thing was oversold. I like that. Okay, especially in the base building process, right? Staying out of oversold range, pretty cool. That speaks to a lot of resilience here. I would draw breakout level this base right here. Call it 420, right? And you had this little tight coil right at the upper bounds of this base. You probably you got out of here on earnings just a week or two ago. So, I love it when earnings fundamentals are the catalyst for a breakout. And we're seeing so much of it this quarter. All of these bases are breaking out on nice earnings beats. So that's really cool. It tends to happen that way. You know what I mean? You need that sometimes. A lot of these charts were just kind of chopping sideways for the past few weeks, waiting for those earnings reports. So HubSpot, yeah, we're above 420. I like it. My first target, be right here. These pivot highs from last year, just below 600. Not bad. It's a nice trade.
All right. Let's do one more here. One more. Let's do. All right. Some redemption for Joey M here is Spotify.
Earnings out of the way. Ooh, interesting. Got a little pop, pullback, and then past few weeks, following it up with a nice little rally. So there you go. Again, got that base, August highs, above them, check, kind of crept higher, check back in following this earnings volatility late last month, and now we're heading higher. I would rather buy this one back towards those August highs, right?
Yeah.
Sort of corrective action, checking back in on that base around 128, 130. I feel like it's a little late to get in here. So yeah, I'd want to buy it closer to 130 And then I think you have overhead supply coming into play over here around 215. Got like a shelf of pivot lows here from 2021. Yeah, I like it. And look at the momentum profile, right? You have a nice little divergence kind of that led the way on the bottom here, right? Momentum overbought, staying above 50 right here. That's really impressive. Now back in the overbought range, kind of confirming these new highs. So I would be looking to enter this one, but would not be entering it here right now.
All right. We'll be back with another episode of Chart Request Live on Tuesday. We're doing this show twice a week now. That was Stras's idea. Tuesdays and Thursdays at 1 p.m. Eastern time. If you want to follow Straza on Twitter, I highly recommend it at @Straza. You can follow me. I'm at SJ Israel. Follow Stock Market Media on Twitter. All these links are in the description of this video. Any questions, comments, concerns? If you want us to talk about your ticker and you know it's on your mind ahead of time, you can just email us. Email us at questions@stockmarketmedia.com, and we'll get your ticker and we'll put it on the list to talk about on the show. And that's all I got. So drop us a like if you'd be so kind on YouTube. I'd appreciate that. And Mr. Straza, any final thoughts?
No, I'll see you. I'll be back on Tuesday next week.
Tuesday.
And I got one more. Yeah, I think I'll be doing Tuesdays. JC will be Thursday. So I'm talking about how earnings have been the catalyst for a lot of these bases to break out. I'll give you guys one to watch for next week, and then we'll follow up and we'll make sure we talk about it.
Oh,
limited. I know we just talked about it a little bit earlier with Shopify, but earnings reactions tend to occur in the direction of the tactical trend, right? So the tactical trend, even though the long-term trend here is sideways and see, right? We're in a sideways trend, still basing. So we take out those August highs. Tactical trend is higher, right? Zoom in here. Higher highs, higher lows, higher highs, higher lows. Tactical trend is up. So look for this earnings beat next week, or look for this earnings reaction rather. And I wouldn't be surprised at all if, again, we see another one of these nice bases break higher on the heels of an earnings.
Is this a Chinese stock or Asia more broadly?
It's Asia.
Okay, never mind. Never mind. Okay,
not China, but Asia online retail.
All right, I'll make a note. Follow up with SE on Tuesday. That's a wrap. Everyone have a great rest of your day. Strauss, have a great rest of your day. Drop us a like and happy trading.
Thanks for joining, everybody.